Greetings and welcome to the Utopia Living Show. Today we have with us my dear new friend, but she's also family, believe it or not, Tasneem Tewogbola.
Thank you.
And today we're going to be discussing back to school systems with the Tewogbola family. So Tasneem being a wife, being a journalist, being a budding entrepreneur, starting and launching your business that's fully up and operational at this point, and a mother of 5.
That's right. 4 girls and 1 bonus daughter.
I love it. I love it. So you have a very full life,
I do.
very wealthy,
Yes.
rich.
Family is our wealth.
Yes,
right?
yes,
I'm
yes,
very rich.
yes.
I'm very rich.
So Tasneem, tell us, because I admire how every time I see you at church or at a little gathering in the community, it just seems like you are just cooler than a cucumber, and all the kids just kind of know how to do what they do, and they seem to be really self-managed in a way where you're very much attentive, but you're not worried about them running off and acting a fool, and so they seem to just really have a really good foundation for an expectation, but they're also very loving
Thank you.
and lively,
Thank you.
and you can just see their personalities that you've cultivated. So tell me a little bit about, first as a mother, when you came into being a mother and coming from a large family, how your coming from a large family influenced some of your mothering practices, if you will.
Great question. Naya, I grew up in a family that really honored routine. We always had a system.
Love
it
it.
was very little willy-nilly-ness.
Love it.
So I grew up with that, and the challenge for me is when to turn it on and when to turn it off.
Okay.
But I personally believe that everything works better with the system. Nature has a system. Everything has seasons.
Yes.
Nothing just sprouts,
Right,
without
right.
it having some indication of something else being in play.
Right.
And so that's how we flow. It's we're constantly trying to find that middle zone, that sweet spot between our obligations and the best way to keep things in rhythm.
Love
and
it.
for me, a good routine is the way to go.
Okay. And it reminds me of a quote that I love, where there is structure, there is freedom. And I have found that to be so true in my life. So where there's some order,
Yeah.
there actually is so much freedom that goes along with that. And just in terms of clearing the clutter in our minds, in our day, and it allows things to work in a capacity that's so much more effective and functional.
That's true.
And it creates, I think, a lot of security for your household, for your children to be able to feel secure, that they know that at certain times we're going to have breakfast, and then there's a certain way that we have dinner, and there's a certain time that we go to bed. And they say that children thrive in environments where there is an expectation of them, but where there is also some order.
Oh, I believe it, and I feel like I thrive best.
Yes.
It is. It's maybe a little bit selfish, but I feel most calm, most at ease when I know what's next. I actually find myself enjoying the school season because it puts us in a routine that is the same every day.
Yeah.
And the weekends sometimes are a little challenging for me because
Oh.
I'm going, oh,
What do we do
boy.
now?
Yeah, what do we do now? And it sort of relies more on my own creativity, and I'm pulling in everyone else's creativity and their wants and their desires and their need
Yes.
for downtime.
Yes.
And if it were up to me, we would just be bam, 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 even on the weekend.
Wow.
But
wow.
the weekends help me work on the other aspect of the schedule, which is you do need to be flexible.
Right. right.
Something will always go wrong. And I wasn't that great at that when I first got into mothering, but I'm much better now. Just being able to have a really well-packed family bag with snacks and water,
Right.
and wipes,
And wipes.
a change of clothes and books and things like that. But as long as there's a system, I agree with you. There's
Right.
less chaos.
And I've noticed that even when you've come to our home to visit, the girls will have like the family snack bag, and they know how to help themselves and get them some fruit or some water or some chips or what have you. And that's not just a great idea for a mother with children, that's a great idea for all of us.
Yes, it is.
So you and I talk about, we get hungry, just feeling like we can just go crazy.
Yes.
And then you end up possibly eating things that you didn't anticipate eating. And
You're at McDonald's.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, how did I end up here?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's about being prepared.
Yes, it is.
And that comes with order. So as we talk about being prepared, your excitement about it being back to school in order, what are some of the Tewogbola back to school systems that you've incorporated to just, make things flow a lot better? I know so many of my coaching clients that are mothers really struggle with trying to balance it all.
Yeah.
And I know that that's never something that's quite perfect, but it's a work in progress. So what are your tips?
Great phrase, work in progress. I think the first one is to consider yourself a new student along with your kids who are students every year.
Okay.
So whatever happened in the past year, it's a new slate. You have a new teacher, new system, new grade. So we start with that, recognizing that everyone's going to advance.
Love it.
I also, and this is my husband's idea this year, was to start early. Start early with the supplies.
Okay.
Which meant we didn't take advantage of the tax-free day, but we hit up every thrift store and got them uniforms, and they're really into thrift store shopping themselves.
Oh, good.
And so that's nice. So we started early, we knew that they were advancing, and then we started talking to them about what sorts of experiences they wanted to have for the year.
I love it.
And their assignment this year was to create a to-do list for themselves. So they got a huge piece of Post-it paper as big as a poster board, and the 6-year-old and the 9-year-old wrote a to-do list, and they wrote their own schedule. And I even find them saying now, well, right, after we wake up, we're supposed to brush our teeth. And they've written it. They know what they're supposed to do.
Wow, it's giving them ownership.
Right, and they posted it. It's their artwork.
Right.
We didn't say, we didn't write it and have them sign it. Nope, it's totally theirs. They put little images next to things. So they do have ownership of that. One big thing that we do when school season starts is we shut the TV down.
Is that every day? Is it all day? Or is it for just certain times of the day?
It's for 5 days a week, and on the weekends, when Friday hits, it's like, we can watch them.
Okay, so Monday through Friday, there is no TV for the children at all.
The only exception is Netflix with an educational program.
Okay.
So, again, Netflix is nice because you don't get commercials. And we found that it just creates more calm. And that's what we're always trying to go for. Sometimes even we're trying to go with the flow and let them use the iPad or different computers so that they can do educational things. But it creates a real frantic kind of energy.
Right.
Not to mention competition for the machines. Right. So we try to limit the technology and limit the media. Okay. So that's huge. And then the schedule. Dinner is at 6 o'clock. Okay. And that's what we try to do. And then we try to leave enough time so that we can bring the energy down. And that happens with a walk after dinner.
I love it.
Or a bike ride or something where we're outside trying to burn off some of the food we ate, but also to shut them down.
Shut them down. Get them ready for rest.
As I said to you, fed it in bed. Fed it in bed.
Fed it in bed.
Shut them down. So we try to get them to burn off any extra energy.
I love it.
Let's take a walk up the block. They're running around, they're playing, and then they start the routine of the showers. And believe it or not, the 3 oldest ones actually are all huddled together in the shower trying to fight over the soap. Normally I would micromanage that.
It's okay. So I see as a mother that there's certain things that you have learned to let go and to relinquish. And so there are certain places that you have order. But in the order, they have contributed to the order, which is very empowering. And it gives autonomy it's even structured autonomy because you gave them an expectation to create your own things to do list. And some being the older ones, I'm sure already know what an expectation is of things that need to be done on a daily basis. I think that is amazing. So Tasneem, I just have to ask, when it comes to this list, because I'm a person that I'm so much more productive when I create a list, and you just feel naturally more accomplished once you see that you can check off. Let me hear about these amazing lists that your children have created for themselves. What's on the list? I know you mentioned a couple things, but let's hear all about it.
Well, Mariah, who's now 9, and Asali, who's 6, they're 4th and 2nd graders. Their assignment was to come up with their daily schedule. And the list is so that we do not have to constantly be reminding them what they should be doing next.
Right.
So they did a list that says, wake up, brush teeth, wash face, put on deodorant, oil body.
I love it.
Get dressed. Then I think they said go downstairs, eat breakfast, make up bed is somewhere in there, put clothes away, eat breakfast, check your backpack, make sure you have all your supplies, find your socks, that's a huge deal, and get your hair done by mom, and then get ready to go to school.
Love it. Love
And
it.
they
Love it.
accented it with pictures, and I can see them self-monitoring. They'll come downstairs. Barry and I get up early so we can have a little breather before the circus starts. They come downstairs, and we'll look at them, and they'll look at each other. Did we brush our teeth? And they'll go back, and I like that. I'm like, oh, they'll say good morning, and I'm going, did you brush your? And now I like that they're starting to self-monitor.
Right.
And I don't know if they would have done it if we had made the list. I think them making the list themselves and us not micromanaging the spelling necessarily or the penmanship, it's working so far, and it's posted in the hallway.
Right. Well, you know what? It's just like in coaching. It's really when, as the coach, helping the coachee unveil their own answers, and when it's your answer, your authentic answer, your authentic list and things to do, you're going to be much more likely to stick to it and be invested in it. So it sounds like, if we were to recap, you started early with shopping and school supplies. So you weren't in the frenzy frantic and in the long lines, and half the stuff that you need on your list is not here. So now you're going to 3 and 4 stores. So you already said, we ain't doing that again.
Okay.
We've done it yeah. Right. That's how you learn. That's how you learn what not to do.
We've been those people. We weren't the people this year.
Right. And with 5, that's just too much stress. And so it was worth paying the taxes. Some things money can't buy. Peace.
And we went to thrift store, so.
And the kids, and I love the fact that the kids love the thrift store.
They do. They look at the tags and they say, look, yellow tags, 50% off, mommy. And they go around looking for yellow tags.
And I will tell you, these kids are so fashionably fly and cute all the time. Wow. And one of the ones that used to always come and sit with me when you guys first came to the church. Zainani. She's the super little diva. And to find out sometimes when I'm so in love with her outfit and her tutu and her sparkly shoes, she has put it together herself. So it's almost like they're already owning their own sense of style because they have such a beautiful example now. And as we talk about the thrift store, I was admiring your dress, and you told me that this is where you got this cute little number.
That's right, little thrift
it's
store.
From the thrift store.
It is. So we love a good thrift store.
Yeah.
You love a good.
I love a. Yes,
we
I
both
do.
Love it.
I do.
And you don't mind if your children come home with grass stains if you spent $1.99 on their pants.
Right. So it also even just creates a lot more freedom and flexibility in them just being able to be kids.
Yeah.
Where you're not so consumed that those were $50 pants.
No.
And all of that.
There's so much to go around, Naya. We both go to thrift stores. I mean, you see.
There's so much.
There's no reason.
And half the time the stuff is barely worn, and sometimes not worn at all.
And they're from nice places.
Yeah.
So it works out. That works out. So yeah, you're right. We started early. We acknowledge that they're advancing, so that changed our expectations for them and expectations for themselves. And we enlisted their help in creating their own schedule. And we also added the routine, made sure that their schedule was intact. And those are some of the things that are working so far. And considering ourselves students of the whole process.
Right.
So letting us learn as they learn.
How long have you had these systems in place? Let's say just even the dinner time is at 6 o'clock and the bedtime is at 8:30, and that after we eat, we do something to release the energy. So it is bed and in bed, ready to rest. How long have you been doing that?
I know we've been doing that probably our eldest together. My bonus daughter is 17, so she's experienced some of the routine when she comes in the summers.
Okay.
Our eldest of 4 is 9, and we've been doing that since she was born.
Wow.
I can remember I would do the nightly nurse, the nightly breastfeeding, the nightly bathing. We go for a walk.
Wow.
And she was just a baby. That's how I put her to sleep. She's juggling her on my shoulders.
I love it.
And then every time we've lived anywhere, we've always tried to do some kind of activity after dinner.
Okay. And has Zaberi, your husband, always been a part of that routine, or has that evolved where the two of you have become one in that routine over the years?
Good question. Over the years, we've become one in the routine.
Okay.
When we first started, I'm from a family of 5, and so the way a family of 5 functioned, 5 children, family of 7, the way it functioned was routine, bam, bam, bam.
Right.
Maybe militaristic, which is kind of what Zaberi said to me. Like, ease up.
Right.
I said, this is for us, because when they're in bed, then we get to have our
time
to relate and read and sit and take a nap. And so now he's totally behind it. It was his idea for the girls to do their own schedule.
Love it.
For them to write that.
Their own list. And how long have the two of you been doing the schedule together?
I think we began to blend schedules and begin the priority for the schedule. We've been married on the 26th, it'll be 12 years.
Oh my God, congratulations. We're such a young couple.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
So,
I
but
love
yeah,
it.
so
But
we've
it's
enjoyed
good,
the
and I'm
courses.
asking these questions because not only for mothers, but for parents and husband and wives. So there is a realistic expectation of that this maybe does not happen for everyone
Yeah.
day one. How long does it take before you actually get to the road of successfully blending your
Right.
systems? And so that's why I
It's
asked.
a good question. I would say maybe we had the first 5 years of our marriage trying to learn each other.
Okay.
And then individually, what part of my family am I going to bring to this new family that I'm creating? Because certainly, I didn't marry a person who grew up the way I grew up.
Right.
And Zubair's family is smaller, so he had much more freedom
Right.
to do
Right.
different things. And there wasn't this group mentality. I grew up with
Right.
a group mentality.
Okay.
So, there were times when we would take the baby out and I'd say, did you bring her diapers or did you pack some water? Oh, no, we'll just buy it. I don't have to buy it. We have it.
Right.
So then I said, well, I'll take ownership of the bag.
Uh-huh.
Because, back then when I was married, it'd be like, you need to do what I think you should do. And it's like, what? I am good backpacker.
Right.
That's my
Right.
gift.
Right.
So Barry's gift is resourcefulness.
Okay.
So if you forget a diaper, no problem. He'll buy a pack. I might
Right.
have some at home.
Right.
But so taking ownership of what you're good at. So he'll
Mm-hmm.
find an answer to something. I'll try to circumvent even feeling lack. I want to think of everything that we might need.
Okay.
I want to have that well packed.
Right.
So trying to sort of figure out what our strengths are, and that's been a work in progress, and I think we're getting there and finding our success with that.
Wonderful. Well, those were great tips. I love them.
Thank
So
you. Great
thank you so
questions.
much.